You're the Spurp back with another video, and wow, talking about a emotionally heavy ass episode. This was the second to last episode of Wentworth, the final season. Man, I'm not ready for this last episode. We're gonna get right into it. You know, after people kind of found out who Rita really was, it kind of blew up everybody's spot, especially, for Rita, Boomer, and even Allie. And it's all Mari's fault. It's definitely all Mari's fault. On the other side of things, you have Ferguson's trial going on and Vera being a nervous mess. We'll get into that as well. But this is the interesting thing about this whole episode, right? Rita's kind of just recovering, trying to figure out what Judy and Lou are planning. Wants to tell Jackson about this. But Lou makes this interesting divide amongst the women and says, you're either going to be with me or you're going to be with the rat when she gets out. And it's interesting how that all plays out because before we get into that, though, Rita is really about to make a bad decision because she was going to pretty much show evidence, that Joan has not that has retained her whole memory and stuff, because they're pretty much trying to make it look like she still has memory loss and all that stuff, pretty much lying in the court. And Vera was willing to sacrifice her whole career to make sure she stays locked up. And Jake kind of talks her out of it, saying like, that's just a bad mistake, don't do that. And also on the other side of things, Anne gets a lot more information on what Judy is planning, finds out that she wants to make a bomb, but the dudes at the NSO, they don't want to make a move until they can really link it all to Judy, because right now it's only connected to Lou and that wouldn't really do anything. So as tensions rise throughout the prison, you have Rita coming back to Gen Pop to confront Lou about the whole situation, saying, I know your brother and I could get him hurt and whatnot. And this is all a part of the plan to kind of get underneath Lou's skin, because they really want to pretty much get this cell phone. We'll get into all that. So Judy gets a visit from her father. I think this is the first time we've ever seen Judy's father. She seems ecstatic, seems like, she's about to walk free. Anne does not like this, and she has so much shit built into her. She takes it all out on Judy and starts to beat the shit out of her while she's tied down. And I was like, yes, and she deserves it, because, I just don't feel right about Judy walking out of this season unscathed. I feel like something's going to happen to her in the last episode. So with all this, she kind of feels invincible. She even goes to Lou and tells her, the whole plan is off, not knowing that Lou has been in connection with Judy's guy the whole time. And Judy was kind of suspect about it because she wanted to know what's going on with the whole situation. But Lou is still on track to use that bomb to escape. She's also trying to figure out what's going on. Why can't I get any calls or anything like that? And little things are starting to mess with Lou mentally. Meanwhile, you have Mari try to make things right between her and Rita and just everybody that she's in the cell with, because this is her fault. She's trying to make things right between everybody, and man, where this thing goes, it's really sad, and it's just like, damn, how did I not see this coming? But anyways, we get to Ferguson's court date, and back to her court date and whatnot. Vera goes up to Ferguson before the hearing and just tells her, I'm not afraid of you. You won't get away with this. Pretty much just telling her off. And she's sitting there really nervous about what Joan's gonna say. Like, is she going to go along with this, or is she going to flip and just tell the truth? And she tells the honest God truth that, you know, she remembers everything. You know, and it seems like she didn't want to lie about it. And this puts heat on Dr. Miller as well, which leads Jackson to just tell Miller to get the fuck up out of here. That was hilarious. But it's interesting. It's an interesting play by Ferguson, because I feel like she wants to just own up to her mistakes, or maybe she's planning something else. I don't know. I think she wants to get her own kind of justice. I'm curious to see what she's going to do in this final episode. So as we get to the end of the episode, we get this really touching moment of Allie and Mari talking, and them kind of, you know, piecing things up, squashing the beef between each other. And I was just like, man, that was fucking beautiful. I started kind of tearing up. We get a scene of Ruby kind of getting lured out, because throughout this whole entire episode, they're trying to look for the phone, and Lou finds this out. And this is where Ruby should have known better and not even went to this place like by herself. She should have already known she was getting lured into a trap. And this whole time, you know, Lou wanted Rita to really show up, but instead it was Ruby, and they were getting ready to just kill Ruby until Mari steps in and saves Ruby. And I was just like, man, she really put her life on the line, got killed in Wentworth fashion. I gotta say this, man. Mari has one of the dopest arcs in the show. You know, she became one of these dope ass villains of Wentworth to now just being redeemed. And it's crazy how even Ruby made mention of this, that she wanted, I killed her son, and in return she saves me. It's really crazy how that all played out. But man, when Jackson saw Mari's lifeless body there, he completely lost it. And I definitely lost it, because Mari's definitely my favorite character of the show thus far. So with Jackson really just completely upset with the whole situation and tries to say something smart, and that's not a good thing. And he tells Ann off, like, get the fuck out of here, because, like, you're done. You fucked up. Your politics have been toxic, has been a cancer in this prison. And that's right, you know, because Ann definitely doesn't know what she's doing. She goes off emotion too much, and just all this chaos is broken loose. Everybody's kind of regretting it, because it's like, yo, Mari was just trying to look out. And the way Allie looked right here is how I looked at the end of this episode. I was just tore the fuck up. Then we get this ending of, you know, Ann meeting up with the agent, and pretty much he wants to connect all this to Judy to kind of cover his ass. And they have the power to stop all this, but he's waiting for the perfect time. Even uses Ann's daughter as kind of leverage to say, look, I got leaks on who was really a part of that whole entire reason that your daughter died. And I'm thinking that Ann's gonna be the one to try to kill Judy. But I thought this was a really solid episode, very emotional. Seeing Mari's death was just heartbreaking. It still doesn't feel like this is the end of the show. I feel like they could still do a whole nother season, but it seems like the final episode is just going to be explosive, literally. I don't know if they're gonna kill off a lot of characters, but yeah, that's my little take on the episode. Let me know how you feel about this episode. Was it satisfying, disappointing? Until next time, I'm out. Peace.